Okay, so if you don't already have your math workbook and your math spiral and a pencil, now's a good time to get that. Right. I'm going to go ahead and share with you. Our learning target today is about elapsed time. Does anyone have schema on that word, elapsed? It's a big word. Haley Booker, what do you think elapsed means? You're muted, sweetheart.
I think that elapse means that it means like time goes like it goes like around like a lot of time, like it's lapped, like it's kind of like on a loop.
I love that, the way you're thinking, like a lap, right? You're thinking time is passing.
Kind of
right?
like a lap around the school, but on a clock.
Oh, very good. All right. So finding elapsed time, time that has passed. So the reason we are going to find elapsed time today is because in life, there are many times when we have math problems that involve that. Like you want to know what time you'll get home if you are going to a movie and it is maybe an hour and a half and it starts at 3. And well, if I leave, the movie starts at 3 and it's an hour and a half, so it'd be 4:30 when the movie's done, and it takes 30 minutes to get back up the hill. We'll be home around 5, and then we could plan dinner for 5. So I'd raise your hand or give me a thumbs up if you've had to do that kind of problem solving at home with your family, like trying to figure out what time you could go get the Christmas tree or what time you guys are gonna decorate.
Last night I had like a real world math problem where I was counting the thingies on the blanket and then I just gave up. I was like, I'm gonna count the sides on this side and then the ones on the other side. So I did. There was 8 on one side and then 10 on the other side, and then 8 times 10 is 80. So there was like 80 little squares.
Oh, you'd like an array. I love that you shared that, Haley. Great. That means you have the math curse. I put that on you at the beginning of the year so that you have to think about math all the time in your daily life. So great. All right. Our success criteria is you'll be able to determine how much time has passed in hours and minutes and use elapsed time to find the start and end time. That's a lot, but it's not as scary as it sounds. You guys did great yesterday, and I think you'll do great today. We're also going to solve word problems that determine how much time has passed in hours and minutes. All right, so first, I want to just practice like we did yesterday. I know that we usually do a review with addition and subtraction, but because I don't get a lot of time to teach time, we're going to just keep reviewing the time skills that we've been talking about. So this link is also on your assignment for today, so you can pull that up and open a tab for it. But I'm going to go ahead and click on it. I'm going to show you a time, and then I want you to write digitally what time it is. And then, let's see why I can't see the whole clock. And then digitally, you'll write it and write AM or PM, just like we did yesterday. So the first time that we are going to do is right here. All right, go ahead and write the time. At this time, I am just getting to school, getting prepared for what I'm going to do during crew. So write the time and then tell me whether you think that's AM or PM. Oh, excuse me. Oh, bless you. I think I'm going to empty my have been calls into my not that have not been called. I've gone through so many. All right, Marin, Can you unmute and share your thinking?
I think it's 8:28 a.m.
Wow, you're good at telling time. Can you tell us how you knew that? You're right.
Because the 12 means o'clock, and the 1 means 5, and you just keep going. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. The 6 is 30, but you stop at the 5, and the 5 is 25, so you count 26, 27, 28.
Excellent. How might I say that with minutes after the hour? Marin, do you know?
Can you please repeat it?
Sure. How might I read that time by saying how many minutes after the hour it is?
28 minutes after 8.
Okay, that's what we talked about yesterday. I just thought maybe we'd review that a little. And what do you think? If I'm here getting ready for crew, do you think that's AM or PM?
AM.
AM, that's morning, right? If I were reading my book in bed, we'd have PM. All right. Who would be able to tell me how many minutes it is till the next hour? How many minutes before the next hour? That's a tricky one. Raise your hand if you think you know. Lila?
42.
You are close, off a little bit. Let's look. Not 42. I think it's 32. Let's check. Remember when I showed you yesterday to start at the 12 and count back because we could count by fives? Let's see how many minutes there are from here to the next hour till it'll be o'clock. Count with me. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 31, 32. And 32 plus 28 would equal 60, right? So 32 minutes before, and what comes after 8? What do you think, Astria? What comes after 8? What's the next hour it's going to be?
9.
9, right? That hour hand's going to move to the 9. So it's 8:28, or we could say 28 minutes after 8, 32 minutes before 9. Nicely done. Let's try another one. I love this interactive clock. It's kind of fun. So you guys might want to just play with it after math. Not while I'm teaching, of course, but at another time after math or on a Friday. That could be fun. All right, so what if my clock says that? Oh, I like that one. I'm gonna move that a little bit so it's more exact. There you go. What time is it? And at this time, I am in bed reading my book, getting ready to snooze off into dreamland. But I'm not quite there yet. Still reading my book. Astria, I'll have you share and give them 1 more minute to figure it out. I'm glad you have your answer. I'll let you share in just a sec. Ooh, Gavin, I see you. Makes me happy. I'll call on you for one of my questions for sure. All right, Astria, let's hear it. I see you, Marin. Looks good. You.
It is 9:42 p.m.
How do you know that?
Because counting by 5s to 8,
is 40, and then I have to count by ones 2 times, and that's 42. And the hour hand is at a 9. Even though it's really close to a 10, it's 9 because it's because it was the hour behind 10. So
Excellent. How could I say that time with minutes after the hour? How many minutes are after the hour?
42 minutes before after 9.
All right. Gavin, would you be willing to help us figure out how many minutes before the hour it is?
18 minutes before 10.
Let's see if he's right. 2 plus 8 is 10. 1 plus 4 is 5. Plus 1 is 6. He must be right. I'm going to double check his work, counting backwards. 5, 10. Uh-oh, let's see. Oh, guess what? We did this one wrong. Good thing we checked our work. Astria, we were close. Wait, no. Oh, I see. I was going to this one. Here we go. 5, 10, we didn't. 15, 16, 17, 18. Everybody's thinking is right. Good job checking. 18 minutes before 10. And we know that 18 and 42 equals 60. So if you guys do get time on a Friday or in between Zoom classes, I know time is precious. This is a great interactive tool. I would love for you guys to practice saying minutes before and minutes after as well. I believe you can click on like show 9:42 and then you can do random 4:36. So there's fun ways to play with this, and you could just kind of quiz yourself and check your work. So that would be nice. Okay, heading back to our lesson. We are talking about elapsed time today, and it was really great explanation from Haley Bucher that talked about lapse and how you go around on a clock. Time is passing. And so that was great schema, but I want to build your schema a little bit more before we start our work today. What is elapsed time?
I'm excited about our field trip, Moby. How long does the bus take to get to the Hall of Science? What is elapsed time? Elapsed time is the amount of time that passes between one point in time to another. Elapsed time can tell us how long it takes to get somewhere or how long something lasts. Knowing elapsed time can help us make plans and be on time. You can measure elapsed time by using a stopwatch. How long can you stand on one leg, Moby? The stopwatch counts up seconds, minutes, and even hours. Wow, you can stand on one leg for a long time, Moby. Moby, I think it's time to go now. You stood on one leg for 10 hours, 25 minutes, and 48 seconds. How can you use a clock to figure out elapsed time? The bus leaves at 9:40 and arrives at the Hall of Science at 10 o'clock. How long is the bus ride? You can use a clock to figure it out. Start at 9:40 and then count up by 5s until you get to 10 o'clock. 5, 10, 15, 20. The bus takes 20 minutes to get to the Hall of Science. Cool. There's an electricity show at 10:30. What time is it now? It's 10:08. How much time do we have until the show? I can count up 2 minutes to get to 10:10. That's an easier time to work with. Now I can count up by fives until 10:30. 5, 10, 15, 20. Now add the minutes. 20 plus 2 is equal to 22. The electricity show is in 22 minutes. How can you use a chart to figure out elapsed time? The insect exhibit opens at 1:45. What time is it now? Let's see. It's 11:15. How much time do we have? You can make a chart to figure it out. You start at 11:15 and you count on 1 hour to get to 12:15. Then you count on another hour to get to 1:15. Then you count on 30 minutes to get to 1:45. Now add up all the hours and minutes. The exhibit opens in 2 hours and 30 minutes. How can you use a number line to figure out elapsed time? Look, there's a planetarium show. It begins at 11:50 and it's 35 minutes long. What time will it end? You start at 11:50 and count on 35 minutes. Let's see. I can count up 10 minutes to get to 12 o'clock. Then I can count on another 10 to get to 12:10 and another 10 to get to 12:20. I've counted up 30 minutes so far, but the show is 35 minutes long. So I need to count up another 5 minutes to get to 12:25. The show will end at 12:25. Shh. Cool, we can design our own robots. How long is the workshop? I can start at 1:10 and count up an hour to get to 2:10. Then I can count up 10 minutes to get to 2:20 and count another 10 minutes to get to 2:30. The Designer Robot Workshop is 1 hour and 20 minutes long. What kind of robot are you making, Moby? That was a fun trip to the Hall of Science. Moby? Moby?
All right. So they showed us, oops, sorry, every time I do that. They showed us different ways of finding elapsed time. We heard of using the clock, number line, and also a chart. So those are all great strategies. We are going to turn to page 185 in our math workbook, and we're going to find some elapsed time. Some of them we can just do with our fingers because it's just like adding and subtracting, counting on, counting up, counting back. So if we start with our start time and we are given our end time, we want to find out how much time has passed between the two. That will be our elapsed time. So on page 185, we're going to look at number 1. From 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock, how many hours will have passed? That's our easiest one because we're just counting by hours. Anybody want to give it a shot? Go ahead, Jensen. From 4 to, and I'm sorry, I tried to find you and I clicked the wrong button. From 4 to 7, how many hours would have passed and why do you think so?
3 hours because if you count on your fingers from 4 to 7, it says 3, and from 4 to 6 is 2, and I just counted in my head.
Yeah, so if you start at 4 and you count 5, 6, 7, you're gonna get 3 hours. So it would be 3 hours for your elapsed time. Now it gets a little trickier. We have to go from 7:45 to 8:15. That's a little tougher. Anybody want to share an idea on how we might figure that out? Max Diesberg, what do you think? Any ideas?
So 7:45 and 8:15. So if you add 5 to 7:45, it's 50, and at 15, that's already 15 minutes to get to 8 o'clock. And there's 15 minutes, and there's 15 minutes on 8:15. So 15 minutes plus 15 minutes equals 30 minutes.
Excellent. So only 30 minutes would have passed. But I want to show you on the clock because some of you might not have been able to figure that out. If I started at 7:45, okay, so let me put 7:45 on the clock. Okay, and I need to get to 8:15. 5, 10, 15 minutes just to get to 8. And that would make this clock, the hour hand would have moved to the 8, right? So that's 15 minutes, but I need to get to 8:15, which I know would be 5, 10, 15 would be on the 3. But I've already done 15 minutes. 20, 25, 30. And that would be 8:15. So from here, from the 9 to the 3 would be half of that clock. You guys, can you visualize that? You see that? That's 30 minutes. Nice job. All right. 2:17 to 7:17. This time, Max Diesberg. Good job, Max Fox.
5 hours.
Can you prove that?
Because if you start with the end time and you subtract the starting time, you would get 5 hours.
Okay, so it's interesting to me you subtracted. I love that. What did you have to do about the minutes? Did you have to do anything with the minutes?
No.
Why?
Because the start time is 17 minutes and the end time is 17 minutes.
Yeah, they're the same. So when you subtract, it doesn't affect it. But when you subtract your hours, 7 minus 2 would give you 5. Did anyone get the same answer but do it differently? Anybody want to share their thinking that got 5 hours, but they did it in a different way? Because I know I did it differently. I'm looking as well.
Max Fox has his hand up, and so does Lila Morris.
Who else? Who was the first person?
Max Fox or Lila Morris?
Oh, okay. Lila Morris, since I just heard from Max Fox.
So I did addition and counted by sevens. Since I know that the end time is 7:17 and the start time is 2:17, in between, I first would see what plus 2 would equal 7, and then add 17 minutes.
I did the same thing. 2 plus what would equal 7? And I knew 2 plus 5. So it's just that it is a strategy for counting up, right? To find your subtraction there. All right, so the next one's pretty easy. 11 o'clock start time and then 2 o'clock p.m. end time. Go ahead and try to figure that out. And Henry, when you get your answer, I'd love for you to unmute and share your thinking. How many hours would have passed from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m.?
Nine hours.
Not quite that many. Let's count. You ready, Henry? Can you see my fingers? So you've got 11 o'clock, 12, 1, 2. Here, I'll do it on the clock. Okay, it was 11 o'clock. Okay. Now I want to go from 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock is 1 hour. 1 o'clock is 2 hours. 2 o'clock is 3 hours. Do you see that?
So there's 3 hours.
So, yep, that would only be 3 hours that have passed. Or you could have counted up from 11 to 2 and gotten your answer. All right, the next one's pretty tricky. 11:55 to 4:25. Why do I think that's tricky, Madison? Why am I saying that's tricky?
Because they're not even.
Right, the minutes are different. So that's going to be tricky. So let's do it on the clock. And we know we're going from 11:55 to 4:25. So there's a couple ways you can do this. In the video, we saw that they tried to make it easier. What time would make this easier? What could I do? I'm going to show you 11:55. Let's see. This is 11 o'clock. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. There's 11:55. Instead of counting from 11:55, what would be so much easier to count from? Can anyone tell me? How about Robert? What would be easier to count from than 11:55?
11:50.
But the time is 4:25. I don't know if that's going to help us that much. Look at the clock.
$12 o'clock.
12 o'clock would work. Why? Why would 12 o'clock be a lot easier?
Because it's close and you can just count by hours.
Yeah, so we would be just saying, we can't forget about this 5 minutes though, can we? We have to remember that there was 5 minutes to get to 12. But now that it's 12 o'clock, we know to get to 4:25 is only going to be how many hours and minutes, Lucas? From 12 o'clock, how many hours and minutes does it take to get to 4:25?
Well,
If you're at 12 o'clock, count with me. 1 o'clock. Count with me, Lucas. 1 o'clock. 2 o'clock. 3 o'clock.
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock. How many hours does that take to get to 4 o'clock?
4.
4. How many minutes did we say? What are the minutes here? 20?
25.
So Once we're at 12 o'clock, we already know it's gonna just be 4 hours and 25 minutes. What do we have to do to that 4 hours and 25 minutes to make it accurate since we took off that 5 minutes?
Add 5.
What do you think, Lucas? What do we have to do with this 5?
Add it to the 25. Oh, wait.
That's right. What would we get? What's 25 plus 5 more?
30.
30. So now actually the elapsed time from 11:55 to 4:25 would be 4 hours and 30 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So really it wasn't that hard at all once we thought about it in that way. So when we see something like 11:55, we want to make it easy for ourselves. So actually that's only 4 hours and 30 minutes. So you would write 4 hours and 30 minutes. All right, so that's how you find elapsed time going from the start time to the end time. We also want to find how do we get the end time if we have the start time and the elapsed time. We saw that in the video. That happens in life all the time. If we start soccer practice at 1:00 p.m. and it lasts for 2 hours, what time will I get done? Sunny Poe, what do you think? Looking at number 2, the first one. The first one.
So what you do, it would be so what you would do is you would take 2 hours. So what you could do is you could take away from 2, that would equal 1. So it would be 1 hour.
So we know the hours, honey. We're trying to find what time soccer practice would end. Look up here. If it's 1:00, let me erase this.
Okay.
If it is 1:00 and soccer practice lasts for 2 hours. Okay, it's 1:00. 2 hours. Here's, whoa, that was crazy. Okay, hold on. When you guys play with this, it's pretty finicky. Okay, 1:00, 2 hours. 1 hour, 1 more hour. 2 hours. What time is it, Sunny? 3:00. Yep. So we're gonna write 3:00 in our end time.
2 hours. Here's
We'll still be in our BPM.
what time is it?
3:00.
3:00. Yep. So we're gonna write 3:00 in our
Okay, let's try another one. If it's 4:15 in the morning, that means we're all in bed sleeping. And we get to sleep for 4 more hours. Because sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and I have to take the dogs out. That sometimes happens about 4:15 a.m. And then I get 4 more hours of sleep. What time will I be getting up? Abby Arnold.
$8:15.
Okay, Ben, can you? Okay, Abby, you're having trouble with your connection. Ben, do you want to unmute and explain how you know it'll be 8:15 when I get up?
At 8:15.
say it's 11, then 1 more hour is going to be 12. So it's like, it's kind of like 10 minutes, but instead it's called an hour.
Okay, so the minutes, for this one, you don't have any extra minutes you have to add on. All you have to do is change the hour, right? You're just counting on from the 4 o'clock hour, 4 more hours. Let's do it. 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. 4 more hours would be in the 8 o'clock hour plus your 15 minutes. Or you could do it like this: 4:15, 5:15, 6:15, 7:15, 8:15. You're just adding on 4 more hours to that 4:15, and you would get 8:15. And because it's before noon, you're still in the AM zone. And if you're not sure about that, we could look at the clock. I'll prove it to you. If I'm going to show 4:15, and I'm adding 4 more hours, that means I have to go around that clock 4 times with my minute hand. 1, eyes up here, Henry. 2, watch carefully. 3, 4. So now it's 8:15. So 4:15 plus 4 more hours would give us 8:15. All right, now tricky. I see the 55 minutes here. Let's use that same trick. 4:55. If something starts at 4:55, that's really odd. But if it did, and we knew it was going to last for 18 minutes, maybe you had a Zoom call that started at 4:55. Maybe it's me with the parent. And I only have 18 minutes to meet with that parent. What time are we going to end our Zoom call? Is there a strategy you could use? You know it's going to be at least 18 minutes, right? After the next hour. But what time is that going to be? It's almost 5 o'clock. Who thinks they have a strategy to figure out that one? That's a tricky one, but use the same one. Jensen.
So I did it, I put 5 minutes, which makes it 5. And the 18 minutes are now 13 minutes, and then you add 13 minutes to 5.
You don't take those 5 minutes away from the 18. Those 18 stay there. Watch what I mean. You're going from 4:55, right? And you're adding the 18 minutes. So if it's 4:55, hold on. Okay, here we go. We're at 4:55, almost 5 o'clock. I am going to add, I know that it's 18 minutes, right? So let's do it. Ready? 5, I see what you did. 10, 15, 16, 17, 18. What time did you get, Jensen? Can you unmute?
5:13.
Okay, so you subtracted that 5 from the 18, but you're adding on from the 4:55. So 5:13. Is it going to be AM or PM, Jensen, when I'm done with my Zoom call?
It will be PM.
Still PM, right? Nothing's changed. So let's write that in there. I suggest when you do your work, you use the clock. It really helps. All right, 2:15, we're adding an hour and 15 minutes. Any ideas before we even look at a clock? Lucas Stewart, how can I figure that out? If, let's say math starts at 2:15 and it lasts an hour and 15 minutes, what time would we be done with math?
Three. About
Yes.
three. About 3:15 or more.
Okay, so I like that you are confident about your hours. How did you find out it's in the 3 o'clock hour? What did you do to get 3?
Cause at an hour and 15, so it's 2:15, and after that is an hour. So it would be 3:15, and then so
So you have the 3:15, but you still have to add this 15, right?
yeah, so 15 plus 15 is
30.
20, yeah, 30.
What time would it be?
3:30.
AM or PM? If it, oh, this is AM, so we wouldn't have math in the middle of the night. I didn't notice the AM. That's
It's
not,
PM.
I'm definitely not gonna do math. It says AM here, it's still gonna be AM. I think maybe we would be having a dream for an hour and 15 minutes. Maybe we're dreaming about Christmas.
Gotta be dreaming about math.
Dreaming about math.
Maybe we have the math person our dream.
That would be perfect. All right, let's try one more for finding the end time. Then we're gonna see if we can go backwards and find the start time. So if it's 11:55 a.m., you guys better be in bed. I'm trying to think, maybe you're counting sheep. And you are gonna count sheep for 2 hours and 5 minutes. I'm sorry, that sounds horrible. I wanna show you a little trick. Look at this 5 minutes. What time would you be done counting sheep? If it's 11:55 and we have 5 minutes here, what can we do to make this nice and easy? Who is feeling confident?
Me.
I want to see if I can find someone I haven't heard from.
I am.
I don't know who I is. Haley Booker, how about you? What time will it be? If it's 11:55 a.m., what time will it be a.m. when you're done counting sheep?
It will be it will be 2 o'clock.
You're so smart. How did you know?
Because I added 2 hours to 11:55 and I got 1:55, and then I added 5 more minutes and then I got 2 o'clock a.m.
Did anyone? That's great. I did it a little different. Did anyone do it different? Which is what I love about math. But got the same answer? Sunny, what did you do?
I did is I took 11. I added 5 minutes to which would make it 12 o'clock and 2 hours.
That's how I did it as well. I just thought, well, that'll be easy. Add that 5 minutes. It'll be 12, and then 2 more hours is 1, 2. Nice job. All right, now we have to do the same thing, but backwards. If you know that your theater practice gets done at 4:15, you can't remember when it starts, but it's 3 hours long. Madison, what time would it start? I need to go backwards from 4, take those 3 hours away, and what would I get for my hours? And then, of course, my minutes would be the same.
1.
Right, and what are the minutes? Not, it's 4:15. So it'd be 1.
2.
Look at your minutes. What does it say next to the 4 o'clock?
15.
Yeah, so 4:15, let's count backwards 3 hours. Let's do it together. 4:15, 3:15, 2:15, 1:15. Let me show you on the clock. If it's 4:15, and I'm going backwards 3 hours, watch. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. What time is it, everybody? 1:15. Nicely done.
And this is in the afternoon, so it would still be PM. All right. Now I only have to go back 15 minutes. So we're subtracting time, really. If it's 2:45 and you finished your Dibbles test at 2:45 and it took you 15 minutes. What time did you start your Dibbles test? Think about that. 2:45, it took you 15 minutes. You're subtracting that. You're taking it away. Go ahead and see if you can figure that out.
What time would you have started? I know you can all do that math problem. Everybody should get this. Abby, get your fingers moving. Start doing the problem. Pencil and workbook. You got this. 2:45 minus 15. Henry, you doing okay? You think you've got your answer?
I got the whole thing done.
Awesome. Okay, let's see if you got it right. I'm going to call on Charlie Carr to give me his answer. Let me know, Charlie, when you have it. What time your Dibbles test started, and you can unmute. Hey, Charlie, go ahead and unmute, and I'm going to walk you through it if you're not sure. Can you do 5 minus 5?
0.
Yes.
Yay, 0. Okay. Can you do 4 minus 1?
Yes. 3.
Yes.
What's 4 minus 1, Charlie?
3.
Awesome. And 2 minus nothing?
2.
So what time did the Dibbles test start?
2:30.
2:30 p.m. because it lasted for 15 minutes. All right. Now, boy, this one looks a little tricky. 11:55 is, wow, that's almost midnight that we ended the, let's make it a teenager. How about my son studied for his final and he ended his study time at 11:55 a.m. He studied for 2 hours and 35 minutes. What time did he start? Let's use the clock to help us with this. Does anyone think they know? We can use the clock. We could also write it out. If he ends at 11:55, and we're going to subtract 2 hours and 35 minutes. Let's go ahead and try it this way and then see if it's the same when we use the clock. Okay, so 11:55 minus 2:35. Let's do it together. 5 minus 5 equals what? Reese, what is 5 minus 5? Did she leave when I called on her?
Nope, she's still there.
She did?
Oh, nope.
All right, Max Fox, what's 5 minus 5?
5 minus 5 equals 0.
Excellent. 5 minus 3?
5 minus 3 is 2.
So we know it'll be 20 minutes. And then let's look at this as 11 minus 2 because it's the 11 o'clock hour. Let's take 2 hours away from 11. What would you get, Max Fox?
9.
9. So he would have started at 9:20. We could look at the clock and see what that would be like. Except I got to remember what that was. Let's see. It was how many? 2 hours, 35 minutes? We can check our work. So if he ended at 11:55, which is, should be, okay, 11:55. And I'm going back 2 hours and 35 minutes. I could go back 1 hour, 2 hours, but this really needs to be locked. Hold on. It should look like this. I locked you. Oh, I locked the wrong hand. Okay. No. All right, that would have been, okay. It would look like 9:55 if I went back 2 hours from 11:55, right? Now I still got to go back those 35 minutes. Ah, why does it do that? So we'll go here. So now I'm going to unlock both of them. So we're going to say 9:55. Oh, this is driving me insane. 9:55, I'm going back 35 more minutes. So that'd be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. But this would have been that would stay right in that 9 o'clock hour. So it would have been 9:20. The clock does not like us, you guys. 9:20. So you were right, Max. Nicely done. All right, last but not least, 3:42 is our end time. So I'm trying to think, is that AM? That's AM. Again, who's doing things in the middle of the night? Not me. Maybe, oh, I couldn't sleep maybe Mrs. Harrison couldn't sleep. I'm gonna make it her because I don't want to interrupt my sleep. She could not sleep, so she had to read in the middle of the night for 1 hour and 20 minutes. She stopped reading at 3:42. What time did she wake up and start reading? So I'm gonna do the subtraction problem because I think that clock is gonna drive me batty. So let's subtract it. Let's start. We've got 3:42. Write this down in your workbook or in your math spiral. We're going to go backwards. So we have to subtract that time, 1 hour and 20 minutes. What time would she have started? How about Astria?
You would have started at 2:62.
So we're subtracting. You're so close. You subtracted some, but you added some. Let's start in the ones place. What's 2 minus 0?
2 minus 0 is 2.
Okay. What about 4 minus 2?
And 4 minus 2 is 2.
And now 3 minus 1.
3 minus 1 is 2.
So what time did she wake up and have to start reading to get back to sleep?
2:22 a.m.
Wow. I hope that doesn't happen. So now we have looked at when we are given the start time and the end time, we can find how long the activity has lasted. That's our elapsed time. We have also had the start time and the elapsed time, and we were able to find out what time our activity would end. And we were able to find out when our activity would start by giving the end time and the elapsed time. That is a lot of stuff you guys just worked on. So what does that look like in real life? What does that look like in a word problem? I tried to make it like a word problem as we filled out that chart so that you would be getting some of those skills. And when you see it on the next page, you'll know what I mean. We won't get to many of these, but it's okay. We'll at least get to try. So these are real life situations when you have to solve problems about elapsed time. Loretta left her friend's house. So you should have turned the page. Lucas, can you sit up, buddy? We're on 186. Loretta left her friend's house at 3:45 p.m. She had been there for 2 hours and 20 minutes. What time did she get there? I want you guys just to see if you can figure that out. If you want to go to the interactive clock, remember it is on our math assignment under math. I'm going to show you where that is again. You can use this when you're doing Think Central as well. So today is Tuesday. We're on lesson 3.8. It says interactive clock for kids. So Robert, do you see that? You can click on that and it'll open a tab so that you can just go to it. So you might want to do that at the beginning of math tomorrow, and then you'll have it up and ready. So back to our question. If Loretta left her friend's house at 3:45 p.m., she had been there for 2 hours and 20 minutes. What time did she get there? You're going backwards. She left her friend's house. That's your end time at 3:45 p.m. She'd been there for 2 hours and 20 minutes. So you are going backwards. That means you're subtracting. Henry, do you see that? So what would the subtraction problem be? What would I be subtracting? Can you unmute and tell us, Henry?
-20.
That would be your minutes, right? And then would I have to subtract the hours as well?
Yes.
And what would that be?
That would be 1.
So if you heard what Henry said, good thinking, Henry. You are taking it, if you know she left at 3:45 and you want to know what time she got to her friend's house, you have to take away the amount of time she was there, that elapsed time. So 5 minus 0 is 5, 4 minus 2 is 2, so, and 3 minus 2 is 1. So she would have gotten there at 1:25 p.m. Well done, Henry, I'm impressed. I think we have time to try one more, and then I'm gonna have to let you do your work on Think Central. Berto spent from 3:45 p.m. to 4:15 p.m. doing math homework, and from 4:30 p.m. to 5:10 doing social studies homework. How much time did he spend on his math and social studies homework? So this is a two-step problem. We first have to figure out how much time is between 3:45 and 4:15. How many minutes is that? And then we have to find out how many minutes are between 4:30 and 5:10. And then we can add them to get our total, because we are looking for a total. See if you can work on that. I want you to be thinking, and I'm gonna pull a name out of the can and see if you can walk us through it. You guys think. Josh Carter, can you unmute and share your thinking about this problem?
So for so 3:45 to 4:15. You could do 3 blanket, and I keep on adding to the 415.
And what did you get? Robert, what would you get? If you
I
had-
got
Oh, good.
7 o'clock.
Well, it's not a time. It said how much time did he spend doing his homework? If he spent 30 minutes, you said 30 minutes doing his math, and you said 40 minutes doing his social studies. We want to know how much time he spent doing both of those. So you would add those two. What would you get if you added those?
Oh. He's spending
70 minutes, or is there another way we could say that? Sunny, do you know? How else could we say how long 70 minutes is? Not sure? Think about, is there an hour in that? How many minutes are in an hour?
Would be 1 hour. Would be 1 hour and 10.
Yes, good job. So 60 minutes is an hour. We could also say, instead of 70 minutes, 1 hour and 10 minutes. All right. Okay, kiddos, that was a lot for today. I'm so proud of you. That was some great listenings that you guys did for today. Let's see. I just want to see how you're feeling about elapsed time. And it's just showing the thumbs down on there. So hopefully I'll see more than that. Jensen, I see you.
You're both there. I see some sideways, a lot of
Okay,
sideways.
good. Lennox, double thumbs. Wow, Lennox, I'm so happy. Evie, looking good. Yeah, Madison, that's tricky, huh? Do you like it better when you just have to count from the hour instead of the minutes? Yeah, I agree. So we'll do this again tomorrow, okay? Just keep persevering. All right. Anybody else? Looking good. All right, kiddos. So you have a lesson on Think Central. It's 3.8. I notice a lot of you are doing it. I have a rock star. I said Max Giesberg is my rock star. I want to just give another shout out for my Think Central people who are working super duper hard. Ben Bowers doing great on Think Central. Jensen, Haley Callender. It looks like Leo is just amazing. Charlie Van Rickley, Henry, Reese and Katie have been doing a nice job on that as well. I just think Elena, wow, good job. Gabe Levine. So many of you, Lila, you're a little bit behind on some of these, but you got most of them. And that's just great. So I wanted to just give a shout out to all those kiddos. If I didn't call your name, it doesn't mean you're not doing great. It just means you might not be totally caught up. So on Friday this week, I'm going to give you some time since it's there are no live lessons. But still, don't get too behind. Get on there today, work for 15 minutes and see if you can at least finish one of your lessons, because some of you are behind quite a few of them, like 7. So that would be great if you can do that. Maybe take a little break, walk around outside for a little bit if you need to, and then see if you can get a lesson done. All right, I'm going to ask Lennox, Max, and Lila Morris to stay on. I'm going to talk to Max and Lennox about what my plan is, and Lila, you know what we're doing. So the rest of you, if you don't have any questions, we will see you tomorrow. It was great working with you.
Which Max?